Yeah, let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beast back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins. Can't relax. Original. I am not the same as these cats. I sting 'em in-
And welcome to the NFL show on the Solder on Sports Podcast Network, the S.O.S Podcast Network. Happy Wednesday to all of you. I don't know about you, Joe, but today's been one of those days where I woke up and I was like, is today Tuesday? Is today Thursday? I'm just all spun around. I don't
A
even
little
know.
bit.
Like, are we even close to Friday? Kind of, but not as close as we want to be. But regardless of all of that, it is so great to be with you once again. This is the NFL show on the Solder on Sports Podcast Network, whether you're watching on YouTube or on Total Apex Media X or on the Solder on Sports X or on Spotify. We appreciate you listening. This is the part of the show where I let you know we are brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Right now, with our promo code SPORTS10, get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale like many times throughout the year, up to 50% off. And with our promo code SPORTS10, you get 10% off regular priced and sales price items. So 20 becomes 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60% off, up to 60% off with our promo code SPORTS10. That's firstroundcollectibles.com. And a pleasure to be riding along with Total Apex Sports. TotalApexSports.com. Football is now, I guess, full swing, right? I know it's only week 2, but it still is, to me, full swing. The baseball playoffs are right around the corner. Pennant races have commenced. The hockey season's right around the corner. Basketball season, all of that good stuff. And TotalApexSports.com has what you need. They have a health website, pop culture website, bets, fantasy. They talk about gaming, the whole deal, man. They got it all. Go to totalapexsports.com and check out what they have to offer. All right, man. So what a week one. What a week
Yeah.
one. Here I am complaining about all the divisional matchups, complaining about how Baltimore and Buffalo, as amazing of a matchup as it is, we need that matchup later in the season. And I still agree with that take, but what a wild game that was. Before we dive into all of that, plus our best bets for the week 2 slate, which we'll get into in the later part of the show. I am Mark Sauter, and this is Joe. Joe, how we doing, brother? How you feeling on here I go.
You were about
Wednesday.
to say Monday.
Oh, I was about to say Monday.
You were.
A
Yeah.
Wednesday evening now.
Yeah, no, we're doing good. It's funny you should mention the fact that you were complaining about those early round divisional matchups, because that's the thing that I wanted to bring up today, because you're not the only one that was not feeling the fact that we had so many divisional matchups. I was watching Pat McAfee on Tuesday, and they have the Tuesday segment now. Bruce Arians comes by to the Thunderdome and hangs out with the boys, and he will be for the whole season every Tuesday. And he also was upset about the fact that we had so many divisional games early. Um, but then Pat said, "It's like, listen, last year, first week sucked." So they made it a point to make sure that the first week of the season had bangers. And so, yeah. So I'm leaning towards Pat end of the spectrum. I think last year's first week was less than thrilling, and we got some unexpected bangers. Especially that Pittsburgh game. Did not see
Oh,
a divisional, an AFC North going into the 40s like that. So yeah, it was a good weekend.
and I'm going to be talking about kind of the whole premise that I want to start off, and that's a great game because, like, that's why the NFL is the best, dude. Like, You can pick the Jets, you can pick the Steelers, whoever you want to pick. I guarantee that 95% of us, and I don't mean just us in like the media, or I'm talking just fans alike.
Yeah.
95% of us pick the under in that game. Like, I would love to see the like betting numbers of all the sports books combined. How many people actually bet the over in that game? And it's just, you just cannot predict what's going to happen. And that's kind of where I'm going. I talked about this on Twitter, and if our guy Brady is watching, I posted my first TikTok over the weekend, Joe. I don't know if you're proud of me or not, but my first TikTok is live.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and
Way to check into the 21st century. Let's go.
thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. My wife has been telling me about this for years, and I'm too lazy to do it, if I'm being honest with you.
Just beware the doom scrolls. Take it in, do what you need to do on there with the social media, and then just put the phone to the side.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, that's how I have approached it. Like, I don't have Facebook anymore. I have Instagram, but I'm barely on it. I need to create one for the podcast. I'm barely on it. Twitter, I'm on because I can kind of, it's Twitter. I don't know. I don't know.
The mute button will save you on Twitter.
Yeah, man.
Just put it out there. That will be your best friend.
I know. And it's like, but TikTok, you gotta, anyway, I won't get into all of it, but I'm not a big social media guy. But it's time. But anyway, my point was, and this was during the 1:00 games, and you saw my tweet. I think you made a comment about Danny Dimes. I just love how the NFL, a lot of people were hyping up your Giants, right? And
yeah.
And it's just week 1. I don't think that all those narratives have been thrown out. Nothing like that. We can get kind of your take on it. But all this Giant hype or Giants hype.
Yeah.
And by halftime, my Twitter feed was just loaded with start dart. Like, enough of this Russell Wilson. He's cooked. He's done. Like, by halftime, it's just start dart, right? Then everybody, including me, I think including you as well, talking about how the Colts are going to suck. And Danny Dimes is one. He may have been, I don't know this for a fact, he may have been the highest quarterback fantasy points, not named Lamar or Josh. I know Jalen Hurts was pretty close as well, but Danny Dimes in fantasy points was in the 30s, my guy. Like, he was up there.
Yeah.
They scored on all 7 of their offensive drives. Now, the Dolphins sucked, but that was really funny. Just like,
that's pretty wild.
The Colts are trash, blah, blah, blah. Then you have the Bengals, who they never win week 1. They never win week 1. They're always slow starters. Well, they won a game that they should have lost like 3 different times. The Browns defensively shut them down in the second half. 7 net yards in the second half. The Browns miss a field goal and the point after. Like, I just love in the NFL all of these different narratives, and they all just get thrown in a blender. We talk about Pittsburgh and the Jets, how both of these teams are going to have to rely on their defenses. Well, their defenses forgot to show up. It's 34-32 final for Pittsburgh. You have all this Denver hype. They still almost covered, not quite, but that Bo Nix offense looked awful for the majority of that day. You have like the Green Bay and the Detroit game where I said this a bunch of times. What's the Lions offense? What are they? I know that they're still very, very talented, but with no Ben Johnson. What does it mean? Well, after week one, it looks like it means a lot. It looks like,
Yeah.
and Green Bay, who I kept saying I like, but I don't love, they looked awesome. They had their
Yep.
moments of whatever, but for the most part, they looked awesome. So, and then where we should start, all of it comes to a head with one of the best Sunday night games in my recent memory. The Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. Baltimore running all up and down this team for 55 minutes. Some books had the Bills at plus 5,000. And they end up coming back and winning the football game. Specifically we'll start with Baltimore and Buffalo. We'll get to as many games as we can, and then we'll get into our game. I'm not saying we're going to get into all the games, but we'll talk about as much as we can, and then we'll get into our week 2 picks and look ahead to first to tomorrow night and then into a few days from now. Starting with actually, let me switch that. Before we talk about Baltimore and Buffalo, and maybe it is Baltimore-Buffalo, I will leave that to you. What was your biggest takeaway from week 1? Because there's just so much to go on here.
For me, my biggest takeaway is what I felt very strongly about the Packers. For me,
Yeah.
I said that I think this particular season, just based on roster construction, based on who the Lions have lost, and that's not even just personnel. That's also coaching, which you alluded to before with their coordinators, and what Green Bay has gained. I think there's a continuity with that offense and what they want to do, what their philosophy is. I will say both teams were not very effective running the football. But I told you one key element in them either winning or losing this game would be the offensive line of Detroit, and if Jordan Love could play clean football, no turnovers this weekend. And the offensive line of Detroit struggled significantly in between the tackles, which is where they do love to run the football because it's usually right behind Frank Ragnow, who's now retired. So the interior of that line has suffered because of it. And with the new defensive line that the Packers have rolling, they've had I think they had like 3 or 4 sacks, 1.5 by Rashawn Gary. They had one by Micah Parsons, which was the big one at the end where he pointed up to the sky with the one finger in the air.
Yeah.
I think it's I don't think they're done. A lot of people will say that they're done based on what they look like. I won't say that they're
Yeah.
done, but I believe it reinforced what I felt about the Packers, and I think there will be a swap there. I think it'll be Packers 1, Lions 2, as far as that division's concerned.
Yeah, I mean, while we're at it, we can talk about that game. I know that the Lions were trailing for a lot of that game. I understand that. My eyes were on a bunch of different games. I don't understand. And I've always felt this way, man, not just with Jared Goff, but I think this just in general. Most times, if you have to throw the ball 39 times and you cannot run the football, you're not going to win football games. And so from the offensive perspective, I understand, like I said, I understand that they were trailing for most of that game. You got to pass to dig yourself out of a hole and blah, blah, blah. But games are 60 minutes long. And I just felt like they abandoned the effort to run. And it cost them. And I'm very curious from that perspective. Now, and listen, I love David Montgomery. I think he is a really good running back and overshadowed by Jamar Gibbs. Or, yeah, Jamar, right? Gibbs. Jameer. Okay, my bad. Yeah. But my point is, Gibbs is like one of the best backs in the league, no? And he runs the ball 2 times less than Montgomery. It just doesn't make sense to me. So from a Detroit side, I'm with you. I don't think that they're done. Now on the other side, I think what wasn't talked about enough with the Green Bay Packers, and I'll take the heat for it too, like especially for me, not especially, but not for me either, was that this defense was already really, really good. Like in most metrics, I believe last season, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe last season by most metrics, they were top 5, were they not? Like they were a really good defense last year. And the fact that they added Micah Parsons, who played 29 snaps, I believe, the fact that they added him to the mix, is, I think it was really talked about how good of a player he is, and that being the reason why this defense now is just so much better, and now they're a Super Bowl contender if they weren't already deemed one before. But I think it's the fact that they already had a really good defense. And then now you add in Micah Parsons, and it's just a complete game changer. Because you already have a dominant defense, and now you add this guy into the mix. And like what you said, man, I'm still very mixed on Jordan Love. The guy just did what he had to do. There was nothing insane, he just did what he had to do. And that Packers team, I just look at the names, and their like receiver room feels underwhelming to me a little bit. Yet these guys are just consistently making plays. And they're finding a way to get the job done. And I thought in week 1, talking about the narratives, this was a huge conversation, is what is Detroit losing both of their coordinators, and are the Packers for real? And in week 1 anyway, I think that, and again, it's only week 1, but I feel like we learned a lot.
Yeah, definitely agree. I think it's going to be interesting what the Packers do moving forward as they kind of grow into this. The expectations are going to get raised a little bit because of not so much that they beat the Lions, but kind of like how they beat the Lions. I think
Yeah.
expectations, and I'm sure in the building their expectations to go all the way, because if it's not, then why are you playing? But I think outside, you're looking at that division and you see Minnesota struggling with Chicago, but just barely pulling it out. Green Bay far and away looks like a better, like the product on the field looked the best out of the 4 teams.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, before we move on, I think I need to start writing this stuff down, bro, because my memory is just brutal. But I think last week you picked the over on Lions wins, correct? On the 10.5, or did you pick the under? I think I picked under, like barely under.
I believe that I don't think I had a Lions pick. I picked the over on the Packers, though.
Yeah, you did. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the schedule now, okay? So you lose week 1, and not only do you lose week 1, but like what you said about the Packers and how they won, like the way in which they won, the way in which the Lions lost. You have the Bears at home, which is immediately interesting with the whole Ben Johnson piece of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're in Baltimore, home to the Browns, and understanding that the Bengals start off slow. That defense was still really good on the weekend. Really good.
Yes, it was.
You're taking on the Browns. Then you're playing the Bengals in Cincinnati. Then the Chiefs in Kansas City. Then you're hosting Tampa Bay. Then you have the bye week. You take on the Vikings. And I said this, I think I took the under on their wins, but I did say that The Vikings won 14 games last year. Like, or was it 15, 14, I think. How much worse are they? Like, are they going to be 6 losses worse? Is that really realistic, even with the rookie quarterback? Well,
Listen, for
guess what, man?
for 3 quarters there, it was looking touch and go.
And he found a way to get the job done,
figured it out,
and bring his team back, and they won. Now he was
yeah.
facing Caleb Williams. How much does that matter? I don't know. But the Vikings found a way to win another close game, something they've been doing for the last few years now, right? Then you're on the road to face the Commanders. Then you're on the road to face the Eagles, the Giants at home, Packers again at home, Cowboys, Rams, Steelers, Vikings. Listen, I'm all about a learning curve with like 2 new coordinators. All right.
Right.
I'm all about it. A couple years ago with Philly, they had 2 new coordinators, and the learning curve didn't really show itself until the back half of the season, where they lost 6 in a row and then inevitably got stomped by the Bucks in the wild card round. So I understand. However, with the way this schedule plays out, I don't think they have much time for a learning curve. Like, I think they got to figure this out relatively quickly, because if the Vikings are that team that just finds a way to win close games, and the Packers are this darling that we seem to think they are now, I don't know how much time they really have.
No, that's valid. That's definitely valid. And I don't think you can expect a repeat of having 3 teams in the postseason. I think you're gonna want to get one of those top 2 slots in the division, play your division well, and I don't think they send 3 this season, to be honest.
All right, let's move on to Buffalo, Baltimore. Buffalo winning 41-0. 41-40 That would have been wild.
Imagine.
41-40. Now, one thing about this game that I don't think was talked about enough beforehand, at least from the things that I listened to, maybe it was, but I didn't hear it really at all, is that this game, by the time that the new year rolls around, this game could be like really important. Like, this could literally determine who takes the week off in the first week of January. And I think that there was a lot of hype about this matchup. I think there's a lot of hype about how both these quarterbacks are really, really good regular season quarterbacks, and in the playoffs they can't get the job done. I think there was a lot of hype around all those things, but I don't think it was talked about enough that whoever wins this game could very well win the 1 seed with a tiebreaker, because Buffalo's schedule from here on out, we've talked about it a lot, is relatively simple, at least till week 11, 12. And so just an incredible finish, incredible by Buffalo to find a way to win that ball game.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you, man, because to me, for 55 minutes, I thought that Buffalo's defense looked awful.
Yeah.
But where to you, and this is a very common question now in all of the talk shows and all of the whatever, but I want to know what you think about it, so I'm going to talk about it here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, is this more on Buffalo or more on Baltimore? Because there's many different parts of this where Baltimore should have iced the game, yet the greatness of Josh Allen just can't be not talked about. Yes, yeah. Derrick Henry fumbled the ball. Yes, maybe they should have gone for it on 4th and 3. Yes, this, yes, that. But Josh Allen is one of the best talents in the National Football League.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's situationally for some reason this team just can't get over the hump. Similarly to Buffalo when it comes to the Chiefs in the playoffs, it just feels like situationally they consistently come up short. And I think if you look at the possessions in the second half for Baltimore, like they trade touchdowns at the beginning of the um that fourth quarter, and then like from then on there was a lot of um run pass on third downs. Very predictable offense. They played
Hmm.
not to lose the game with a turnover. And guess what? In doing that run pass nonsense, they actually turned it over in the way that they didn't expect, and Henry dropping the ball. So I think in those situations, I mean, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different, isn't that the definition of insanity? Why not throw on a first down or throw on a second down where it's expected that they're going to run the football? Like, why not do that? um, to just kind of like throw a wrinkle in it. Um, I think it was just very predictable offense in them trying to hold on to this lead. Um, and again, it's very easy to say on Wednesday right before the next week starts, but just looking at the possessions, I'm just saying to myself, like, why not if you have a dual threat at quarterback, why not use that threat? Why not, do a play action or the play calling was very predictable while they were trying to hold on to the lead. And I think they were playing more not to lose the game instead of playing to win the game.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of debate as to whether they should have gone for it 4th and 3, whether they should have done this, whether they should have done that. And I agree with you. I don't disagree. I also think that arguably the best running back in the league. Now, as an Eagles fan, I rebel against that sentiment. But
Right.
if you think Derrick Henry is the best running back in the game right now, there's no like you can't debate it. You can have a difference of opinion, but you can that's a very plausible argument. He put the ball on the ground.
Yeah.
So it's like you can say should have done this, should have like at the end of the day, okay, so you let the lead slip away, okay, but your go-to guy all night dropped the ball. You
Yeah.
know? And I think that like in the playoffs, it's been Lamar who hasn't always been able to rise to the occasion. I would have liked on the 4th and 3. Obviously, there, I think it was 4th and 3. Obviously, there you have Lamar, you have Derrick Henry, like two cheat codes. Like, just go for it. Like it's 2025. What are we doing? However, Derrick Henry put the ball on the ground, and that to me, if you're gonna go through, okay, what different reasons they lost, at the end of the day, you still had an opportunity to cash in that game, and like that's what happened, right? So like, um, but I just find it very fascinating. Like even though this is week 1, in the grand scheme of things, in the big picture, this was a really big game, like a really important game. And they found a way to choke it away. And the stat that's coming out all over the place now is 13 games under John Harbaugh where they have choked away a lead like this in the
Yeah.
fourth quarter, right?
There's a lot of Ravens Twitterverse screenshot of scores before the wheels came off of their team. And you know what? They made me look very stupid. Okay. They made Keon Coleman look like a number one. I have to apologize to him. I should have had more faith in him. He's an FSU alum. I disrespected him. That's my bad. That's on me. Um, but yeah, I touted, what did I tout? I touted Chuck Pagano. He's going to work exclusively with this secondary. They had Humphrey, addition by subtraction and getting rid of Stevens. So they had Wiggins. Wiggins, Humphrey, and Alexander gave up two of the goofiest plays on in the game. Um, and yeah, they made me look quite silly in me touting them. So I'm offended by that.
And it just kind of puts, and then so now we got to talk about the Buffalo piece of this all. Is I thought that the offense looked good, not great. I thought Baltimore's defense, like we said, for the majority of the game, like did what they had to do. I just, a lot of this debate on both sides of the ball can be squashed by just saying Josh Allen is awesome. Like, just like he just finds a way to pull off these plays. And I know, okay, as a Leafs fan, I know the conversation surrounding regular season doesn't matter. It's all about the playoffs. However, that was just spectacular. And I also have to say, didn't Prater like join the team like 5 minutes before the game started? Like, I know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. He
and
they had to put Bass on IR, and he joined the team like earlier on in the week. Elevated him to the active roster, and yeah,
and
kicked five
so
balls.
and so to put a guy in that position to on a running clock, you kneel down with less than 30 seconds left, and it's a running clock, run out, set up. There's no going back. Like
Yeah,
you make this or you don't make this, right? And but I also think it was a testament to the fact that we can't give Baltimore 10 seconds. Like, they have been cooking
yeah.
us all night. We cannot give them an ounce of time. We got to run this all the way down and hope that our guy makes it.
Yeah, honestly, I was very surprised that he didn't with as much problems as we've had watching kicks, like especially last year. Last year was a train wreck. Some of these teams, the Jets and oh my gosh, Jets and Zerline, like there was a couple of places that, and Prater only had 6 kicks last year with the Cardinals and didn't have a team before the season. Jake Moody with San Francisco, 3rd-round pick
Ooh.
after week 1, gone, released. So it's like when Prater's done, with Buffalo and what you call it, Bass is ready to go with Buffalo. If they don't have a permanent solution over, if Pinheiro doesn't work, I'd give Prater a call if I was San Francisco.
Oh yeah. And San Francisco, I mean, we're going to talk about them a little bit later. I have an honorable mention when we talk about our bets, but like they're losing guys again.
Yeah,
Like, just losing guys again for the second year in a row. But really quickly before we move on, Baltimore in the next 7 weeks, they have the Browns at home next week, or I guess this week. Then they're home to the Lions, in Kansas City, home to the Texans, home to the Rams, by week 7, home to the Bears. The Bills are in New York to take on the Jets. Then they're home to Miami, home to the Saints, home to the Pats, in Atlanta by week as well, week 7, and then in Carolina. That to me, and then they take on the Chiefs at home after that, and we all know that they beat Kansas. They have no problem beating Kansas City during the regular season. To me, just to reemphasize how important that win was, the Bills, before taking on the Chiefs, the Bills might not lose another game. And the Ravens have not an impossible schedule, but they got some tough games sprinkled in there. So to me, that was kind of the 1 seed. And obviously we have a really long season, and they don't call it Overreaction Monday for no reason. I know today's Wednesday, don't worry, but you know what I mean.
yeah.
But I'm just really curious to see how this plays out moving
It's not
forward.
it's
And
not exactly too disrespectful because they were the two highest odds or the two favorites to represent the AFC in all the future betting lines. So it's not out of pocket to say that.
yeah, now to move on, and again, we don't have the time. I listened to a podcast earlier this week. They broke down in depth every single game. It was like 4 hours long. And I gotta say, the podcast that I'm talking about, I love it. They do a great job. The only reason why I had time to crush a 4-hour podcast is because I was working and I had headphones on and I was driving for like 3 hours. So I
Same.
had the time. That's a lot.
Yeah.
We don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
Lots of different storylines to talk about. But I don't know. Maybe this isn't what the people want to talk about, but I find this interesting, so I'm going to go here. As much as the Colts need to be given credit for what they did on Sunday. 33-8. I just want to pull up this so I have this exact. 33-8. Your guy, my guy, everyone's guy, Danny Dimes, which, by the way, I heard him called, I heard it said, it's no longer Danny Dimes, it's Indiana Jones, which is hilarious. I love that.
All right.
I find that funny.
Okay.
Listen, 22 for 29, 272 yards, a touchdown in the air, 2 touchdowns on the ground, 26 rushing yards. The rushing attack was incredible as well. 71 yards for Taylor, 41 yards for Giddens. Pittman, 80 yards receiving and a touchdown. Warren, 76. Pierce, 36. Taylor, 27. They did a great job, obviously. And they scored on all 7 possessions, and they did their thing. I believe you and I both did not like the smell test for Miami, and we both were very down on this team. I don't know, very down, but we were down nonetheless. Oh my gosh, they looked awful.
Yeah.
Right from the first offensive snap, that offense looked awful. The defense looked awful. I never had high hopes for this team, but you always, there's a lot of talent on that team. And would it surprise us if they sneaked away to the playoff spot? No. I heard somebody in the media in Miami today say that expectations are not a wild card spot. Like, expectations are competing for the division. Now, I don't know who has those expectations. I certainly didn't. But clearly in Miami, there's a high bar apparently. They looked abysmal, dude. And now, it's the NFL. It's classic. Everybody writes them off. They come back and they have this wonderful season. Tua cannot have time to hit his talented wideouts, because if he has too much time, he does something stupid. He has to get the ball out in 1.5 seconds or something bad happens. The defense, as we all feared, looked awful. Dude, where McDaniels, or as I call him, Pablo Escobar, is in trouble. And I mean, Tyreek Hill, some unfortunate allegations coming out about him today. I know it's week 1, and these are the classic words in every radio show across the country. I know it's week 1, but can the Dolphins have a good season? I don't think so, man. I mean, I think I would have more faith in the Colts making the playoffs than I would the Dolphins even hitting their total. Like, this looks awful.
Yeah, this was a tough watch. Because obviously me being in Gainesville, Florida, that's the game we get on CBS, right? So
Yeah.
so I got a front row seat to watching this, and I'm sitting here and it's halftime and it's 20-0, and I'm like, are they gonna hit the over in the wins? Are they gonna make me right? Because I love being right. Love being right. So that's what I'm saying to myself. And I was like, all right, but we got a whole second half. We got a whole second half. And it was just more of the same. It was, listen, if you heard Xavier Howard's comments at the end of the game, former Dolphins cornerback, basically the game plan from the Colts defense was just to take away his first read, and it would induce what's called panic mode, as he deemed it. And panic mode is what leads to him overthrowing receivers or trying to get it out quick and not exactly locked in because it's not like his first read. So balls will sail, or he'll throw balls that he shouldn't throw in areas that he shouldn't throw them in. And that's where the turnovers caught. Now, one thing that stood out for me was after the game, a reporter had asked him a question about, what do you do when the turnovers seem to come in bunches? Because it seems like once one happens to you, like a bunch happens, and it happens in bunches. And he almost took offense to that question. And I did a little research, and I'm like, he's second in the league with most 3 or 3+ turnover games in the last 5 years. How are you going to get upset when it's a factual question to ask? Like, it does happen in bunches with you. You are like near the top of the league in the last 5 years in 3 turnover games or more. So that to me, and again, happened just after the game. Is that a little leftover from him having a crappy game? Probably. So maybe give him a little grace there. But
You're
the
a
fact of the matter
professional,
is,
though, bro.
it
Like, you're a
does happen to you.
professional. You have to answer the questions as like they're posed to you. You can't snap like that, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't think he didn't really snap. He just made some snide comment like, "That's crazy that you would say that." Like, no,
Yeah,
it's not crazy.
Yeah, it's not at all.
It's a factual thing.
Yeah, no, and like, listen, man, like this team. I know a couple years ago the bar was really high. You and I talked about this during our preview show for the East, and it's hilarious. Some things that I remember and some things I forget from what I've said with my mouth. But this team has mortgaged the future to be successful, and their lack of depth is on full display.
Yeah.
And yeah, the running back, had decent day or whatever, but yeah, dude, this team, I
Secondary's
never
in trouble.
do,
Secondary's in trouble.
Big time. And the whole conversation was our front seven is so strong that we will like bail out the secondary. The secondary doesn't have to be that strong because our front seven's so good. Well, guess what, man? All of you guys got busted on the weekend. Like, all of you. And back to the offense, I've never been a big Tua guy. There are times where I've really thought that he was no good, and then he was phenomenal. And I was like, either I'm wrong or I'm stubborn. I'm just not going to believe it. And here we are. Now on the other side of the ball, Danny Dimes. I mean, listen, man, I can't, as much as I can overreact to the Dolphins, I can overreact to other things. I cannot allow myself to overreact to that Colts win. I'm a big Shane Steichen guy. I would love to see them succeed. I think the Dolphins are a train wreck, and I just can't buy in overly to any sort of Colts hype.
That's fair.
So with that, we do got to move on to our bets. A couple things I do want to touch on though. And again, not sure how much the people care about this, but you are a Giants fan. Our boy Andre, who I have podcasted with for the last 3 years, he's a Giants fan. And our boy Jordan, who is consistently showing up for us in the chat, he's a Giants fan. So if the viewers and the listeners aren't that interested, I'm sorry. I'm giving the floor to my guys. Where are you at with week 1? I already joked about how the switch in hype from pre-kickoff and halftime was hilarious to me. Where are you at with week 1 performance? Are you concerned? We can play that game level of concern 1 to 10. Where are we? To me, yeah, Jordan, let me suffer in peace. To me, I think that the hype on the Giants was too high, but I think the reality is somewhere in the middle. I don't think they're as bad as we saw in week 1. I thought that you guys on defense played terrific. Or at least you played well. I thought that Washington didn't look overly great, to be honest. 21 points. You guys had many moments to be a part of that football game, just couldn't convert it. Where are you at with your Giants as we head into week 2?
Yeah, listen, we couldn't run the ball at all. We could not run the ball, and we did a lot of interior running that went nowhere. Tracy had 24 yards. When your quarterback is your leading rusher, that's a problem unless it's Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or someone of that ilk, right?
Right.
So that wasn't great. Forced Wilson to throw 37 times. I don't think a recipe for success is to let Russell cook. I think if we're having a great game, he's got somewhere between 20 to 25 attempts, somewhere around 60% completion percentage. If he's somewhere above in the 30s or the 40s, we've probably lost that game. That's just
100%. Yep.
guaranteed. The recipe for success for this team has got to be through the running game and through the defense. Like we have to win games like 17-7, 20-10, 23-13. Like these are the ways we're gonna have to win games. Because I don't want a daily diet of Russell Wilson, throwing close to 40 attempts. I don't think that's the recipe for success. My meter's probably at like a 2 because this wasn't a game I thought that we were gonna win anyway, right? For my group chat picks, I did pick them to win because I'm a homer. I'm gonna pick my team to win. But I simply just picked the over for them to win. I think they win 6 games, and that's what I'm sticking to. So my panic meter is probably somewhere around a 2. Now, talk to me after week 4, week 5, and maybe that'll be different. But my panic meter's at a 2 because this was a game I went in thinking they were gonna lose anyway. Did I think it'd be better looking? Yeah. Yeah, I thought it'd be better looking. And my prop pick hit. Malik Neighbors did hit a pass, did complete a pass over the 24, so that's good. Love that. But as far as the panic meter, very low right now. It's week 1. I'm not gonna overreact, but if we start 0-4, well, it is what it is, man.
I don't want to see a knee-jerk reaction here. And maybe it's not knee-jerk. Maybe this was the plan all along. I don't believe that it was. I want to see Russ continue to start. I want to see. Yeah, he is
starting
right?
against Dallas. That has been officially announced by Dable.
And it's nothing to really even do with Russ. This isn't about Dart. Like for me, I'm not saying this. I'm just saying, like, for me personally, it's not about Wilson. It's not about Dart. It's not about playoff hopes or nothing like that. You had a plan and let let some time pass. And that's the thing about sports that drives me nuts. I'm a hockey fan, and I'm like, I'm a hockey writer. I follow hockey very closely. The rate at which coaches are fired drives me insane. These
Oh, it's insane.
reactions, it really bother me. So just let some time lapse before you just kick old Russ boy to the curb. Um, a couple quick things before we get to the bets. Like I said, with Pittsburgh, huge win. I don't think I don't think Rodgers played as well as his stats showed, but I still think he did play really well and he got the job done. Denver, that was I mean, they won 20-12. We could talk about that game a bunch. We won't. I think Seattle, they should have won that football game. I don't like that they didn't go for it towards the end of the game. However, they did show me this team is going to be feisty and they're going to be hanging around a lot. In football games, I actually am encouraged by Seattle. I think that they lost because of a coach's decision. I think that
Yeah.
defense with San Francisco, even though I don't think that defense is as good as it once was, I still think it is very good. And if the Seahawks, to me, I just think, listen, if you want to show the football world we are here to be reckoned with, you go for it on that play. That's my take. Houston Rams. Um, Houston's defense was phenomenal. I thought CJ Stroud played where Rodgers didn't play as well as his stats showed. I thought CJ Stroud played way better than that game shows. Um, so before we move on, there's just so much. Oh, the one thing I also want to say, and this is it for me here on this week one, is I made it very clear how I feel about Justin Herbert. I I need to see way more before we just crown this guy a top 5 quarterback. If you I talked about this during the West previews.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying this as a fact, okay? You other football nerds, I know the hipster football fans love Herbert. To me, with my eyeballs, that was the best game that I've ever seen him play. And I want more of that. I really enjoyed the way the Chargers played. I don't think that Kansas City really put like their best foot forward, but I thought Justin Herbert played phenomenal. And I would love to see more of that. Anything else from week 1 that you want to get to before we move on to our bets?
Yeah, no, honestly, I co-sign the Herbert praise there. I think the game plan was also more conducive to him performing at kind of
Yes,
like a peak
agreed.
level because it was a more pass oriented game plan that typically Greg doesn't run. Um, so if he's going to have more opportunities like that, he could be in for a pretty cool season.
Yeah, agreed. Now, before we move on to our best bets, and I feel dirty for doing this. I feel slimy and arrogant and prideful,
Oh
and I
wow,
just
that's a
but
lot.
I have to do it. I have to do it. You sent me a text today and you said that you have to shout me out for something,
Yeah.
but you're not going to tell me what it's for. You're going to wait for the show. And the little boy that needs affirmation and love
Okay.
and acceptance needs to know what do you need to shout me out for? I need the world to know what's how
Well,
smart I am.
two things. Two things. One I already gave you before, which was you weren't the only person that agreed with the having so many divisional matchups in the first week. I wanted to let
Oh,
you know
right,
that
right,
someone
right.
as smart as Bruce Arians, who's Super Bowl champion multiple times,
Yeah.
um Like he also agreed with that. But we made our prop picks for the Thursday night game last week. And
Yeah.
I picked mine, which was the Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown, but you doubled down on it and said, you know what? I think he gets two, and you can get it at plus 500 or something. And sure enough,
Yeah.
he gets two touchdowns. So good on you for picking for taking that pick and then just saying, you know what? We're gonna take it a step further, and he's gonna get another one.
Thank you so much for pointing that out. And I feel like I need to, the self deprecating side of me needs to also point out that I loved AJ Brown with the touchdown. I loved him over 70 something yards. He got me 1.8 fantasy points on Thursday night. So I
Yeah,
appreciate you shouting me out and building me up, and I gotta just tear myself right back down because AJ Brown ruined like all my tickets on Thursday night.
it's
All right.
fair.
Speaking of which, let's get into our favorite bets and we will wrap up this show once again. Brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Promo code SPORTS10 at firstroundcollectibles.com for 10% off any order, including sales items. This is not just for regular price items. They have sales items up to 50% off, which means you can get up to 60% off with promo code SPORTS10 at firstroundcollectibles.com. Also, totalapexsports.com. Thank you for having us on board. Everything that you need for baseball playoffs, football season, basketball, hockey, fantasy, bets, whatever you want. They're pumping out a lot of DFS content for football, which makes me jealous and mad because Canada is very slow on allowing DFS. I think we're almost there, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, at least my province is. Ontario is. The rest of Canada might be okay with it, but my province is stupid. All right, moving on to Thursday night, Atlanta at Minnesota. The Vikings are favored by 3.5 points. The over under. Why am I starting with this game? No way. We're going to go to Washington and Green Bay. I will avoid talking about that game for as long as possible. Washington in Green Bay, but Green Bay is favored by 3.5 points, minus 174 on the money line. The Commanders are plus 148 on the money line. Over 48.5 points is the total, and minus 106 for the over, minus 114 for the under. Where are you going for Commanders and Packers?
I got the Packers here, honestly. I know they're both on some short rest, but I think the strength of the Commanders game is they is running the football, and they do base everything off of that. As far as Daniels being a dual threat, um, I think they were very mediocre last week. I think the fact that they were able to run on New York is really what made that game as much as a slaughter as it was, just because we just got ran on. And I don't think you can run on this Packers defense. Listen, the Lions tried with one of the best combos you could have in the league, as far as running backs are concerned, and Gibbs and Montgomery, and they came up short. So I think because of that, it's going to force Daniels into just a lot more passing situations. And I think with the athleticism that Parsons has on that line, and Gary, I think they're going to funnel him into the pocket, make him stay in the pocket, not allow him to get out of it. I will say that he's a better pocket passer than like most people that start out, as far as mobile quarterbacks. Some of them, usually the passing is like secondary, whereas he's just equally good at both. But I think forcing him to play from the pocket primarily is going to affect the run game, the run dynamic, and I think they win by at least a touchdown. I think the line's minus 3.5. I'm going to take the minus 3.5 in Green Bay on this one. As far as a prop pick, I think for me, because of how athletic Parsons is, I think he gets him. I think he gets him at least one time. So I'm gonna pick Parsons up to get another sack. I think he's gonna make it a point to start this season off, making Dallas regret just everything they did in the offseason as far as their negotiations are concerned.
I'm right there with you. If you like them by a touchdown, just to throw this out here, -6.5 is +142 on FanDuel. -7.5, if you want to get crazy, is +186. So that's something to keep an eye on. Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I was really encouraged, obviously by how the defense played. I know there were factors that on the Detroit side of the ball, the coordinators and blah blah blah. But and I just think that I can't get out of my head what I said before about how I forgot about how good this defense actually was before Micah Parsons got there. And I that that fact just really changes how I think about this team. Is like I was
Yeah.
just reminded, like, oh man, this defense was actually like really good. And now they just added arguably the best pass rusher in the league. And if he's not that, he's certainly a game changer. So yeah, that's how I kind of feel about that. And I mean, last week, we can talk about the Giants' problems on offense. Defensively, like I said, I don't think Washington played overly well. I don't think Jaden
Yeah.
Daniels played overly well either. And for that reason, my favorite bet in this game is Washington's under in points. Under
Ooh.
22.5 total points for Washington is -120. If you're not comfortable with the spread, and if -174 is a bit too juicy for you to play on the money line, under 22.5 points for Washington at -120, I really like that bet. All right, moving on to your first game, a refresher real quick how we do this. We do the Thursday night game, and then we each choose a 1:00 game and a 4:00 game, and then we do the Sunday nighter. So, Joe, for your first 1:00 or for your 1:00 game, where are you going?
Yeah, for the 1 o'clock game, I'm going to oh, give me a second. Trying to pull up my notes here. Yeah, for the 1 o'clock game, I decided to go Pittsburgh, Seattle. Um, Not a very flavorful pick, but just for me, because of how surprised that I saw Pittsburgh play, I think the fact that they could not really run the ball effectively is not a great sign. Um, and I think the offensive line struggled, namely Broderick on the right tackle side. So I think if they struggle to run the football again, I think Seattle can get Rodgers once as far as throwing a pick. So that's my prop pick there is for Rodgers to throw a pick. And low key, I'm picking the Seattle +3, to be honest.
Ooh.
I think Seattle is going to be very surprising. I think McDonald having the experience in the AFC North, I think he's going to be able to, because he was DC with Baltimore. I think he's going to be able to kind of figure out what Pittsburgh wants to do, and just make it a point to keep stopping the run. And I think he's gonna cook up a good defensive game. I'm thinking something in the line of like 2017. Maybe, I think it's gonna be low scoring. I don't think they're putting up 30 something points in this game, each team.
Yeah, man. I mean, based on what we saw last week, I'm staying away from a total that has to do with Pittsburgh for a little bit. I don't know what to expect from this team. I like that pick. I think now I know George Kittle went out, and I know that, even though Deebo Samuel wasn't healthy a ton, that offense has changed. And oh sorry, that yeah, that yeah, okay, sorry. I lost my train of thought. The offense has changed for San Francisco. That being said, and McCaffrey's banged up and blah blah blah. That Seattle defense played really well on the weekend. I really liked what I saw from them. It's going to be interesting to see what you had to say about the running game. I am with you. I would the +3. I like it. I get nervous picking against Tomlin at home. However, I think 3 points. I mean, you can see if the Steelers do win this game, you can see it by 2.5 or whatever. Seattle, it's a little bit juicy for me. I don't love it, but if you want, so the +3. Let me just make sure I got this right. The +3 is -120. -3.5 is +114. So, or sorry, that's Pittsburgh. Sorry, +3.5 is -146. So a little bit more juice, but you are taking away the push if you want to play it like that.
Valid.
Yeah, to me, I have a hard time with betting against Tomlin at home. However, I really like the way that the defense played for Seattle. And I just need to see what Rodgers and the gang did. I need to see them do that again. What concerns me a little bit is that defense is not as bad as they were against the Jets, but they didn't play overly well. And there are still questions on the offense for Seattle. So I scale 1 to 10, I wouldn't give it a 10. But I don't mind that +3 pick. And for a little extra juice, the +3.5. I don't mind at all. All right. For me, Chicago at Detroit. Detroit, and once again, I'll just pull up these numbers here. Detroit -6.5, -260 on the money line, which I think's kind of outrageous. +220 for the Bears on the money line. This game is in Detroit. The over is 47.5 at -140. The under is -118. So I this isn't some crazy listen to all these statistics and hear how smart about football I am. A lot of people this week are talking and are going to talk about how Ben Johnson knows this Lions team, and Ben Johnson knows how to get to that offense, and Ben Johnson knows how to get to the defense, and Ben Johnson knows. I don't know how good Caleb Williams is. I know he had some moments for a few quarters there on Monday night. This offense, I think, is going to be good. I think we need to give Ben Johnson time, but I don't know what that offense is going to do. I do know how very good that Detroit defense is. I thought they had some moments. I don't think they played overly great, but I don't think they were awful against the Packers. I trust the defense on Detroit more than I trust the offense for the Bears. I think more importantly, if we're talking about a defense like the Lions, they were somewhat, not just the defense, but the team as a whole were somewhat embarrassed on Sunday. I think that defense is going to come out flying. More importantly than Ben Johnson knowing about the Lions, I think the Lions knowing about Ben Johnson is way more important. And I think that defense is going to go nuts on Sunday. -6.5 is a lot, but I think I like the Lions by a touchdown here. I think that defense is going to give them a lot of problems. I'm here for it. Now, what can the offense do? They're not going to do worse than 13 points. I'll tell you that right now. I I'm picking the Lions here, -6.5. I think it's really important that they know Ben Johnson very well, and that like defense, I think they're gonna go nuts.
Hmm.
No,
I
eh?
like what you said. I like what you said. I like what I hear. I'm still going the other way. I'm taking
Okay.
Chicago plus the 6.5. And it's because I think in this adjustment period that the Lions are in, they may win games closer than they've won them before. Like
That
games
is
that they would
valid.
typically win by like outright 2 touchdowns, 10 points or whatever. They may only win by a touchdown or by a field goal. And I think this particular game, they're going to win it by a field goal because I don't think that the run game um for the Vikings was really all that successful against them until Mason started getting cooking. Um I think I think they need to figure out what's going to be the divvy up of the carries over there in Minnesota. Is Jordan Mason going to be the first and second down guy and Aaron Jones third down? I think they need to figure that out. I think Mason's the better back, but if they give more carries to Aaron Jones, I think because of the history that the Bears have had in playing Aaron Jones all those years when he was with the Packers, I think could be good for them. I think because of that and because of their struggles last week against the running the football for Detroit, I think they're going to run into the same problem here, which is going to keep this game close, which is why I like Detroit to win, but by less than a touchdown. I'm comfortable with Chicago plus the points. And I'll take it a step further. And with my prop pick, um, I think that they're going to commit even more to the run this week, Detroit speaking, to where I think Goff will not hit the over on his yards. I think the over under is 250. I call under because I think they're going to run the ball about 35 times.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's really good. Cause that's what listen, man, like if he completes like 23, 24 passes on 31 attempts, that's fine. But in order for this, especially in this learning curve kind of moment, you need to establish the run. That's your fallback for any team that's trying to figure out scheme, trying to figure out passing game. You gotta fall back on that running game. I'm right there
Yeah.
with you. Listen, I'm on the Detroit side, -6.5. However, if you like the Bears, as my friend here, Joe, does, +3.5 for the Bears, +124, +4.5, +106. So if you do like that, what Joe's saying, +106 for +4.5, you're still getting plus money and getting a little less wiggle room. But that's only by a couple of points. So if you like that side, those are a couple alternates for you. All right, Joe, your 4 o'clock game. Where are you going?
Yeah, I'm going Indy Denver with my
Woo.
4 o'clock game. I think this all of a sudden became a good game. Like you see
Yep.
what happened with Indy last week, and then you
Yep.
see what happened with Denver barely getting over the Titans, and you're saying, "Oh, wait a minute, are we is it here? Like, are who's really, So I personally think Indy's going to be running into a better defense this week. Because of that, I'm going to go Denver minus the 2.5. I think they can get them by at least a field goal. Um, and listen, I ran this out there this week because listen, the guy's thrown like multiple picks in the first game of the season. So I thought I was a shoe in saying Daniel Jones was going to throw a pick in the first game. I'm going to
Me
run it
too.
back. I'm going
Me
to run
too.
it back. I'm running it back. Jones throws a pick this game. I think Pat Surtain II gets him at least once. Um, just because I think this is a better defense overall that they're facing. I
Oh
think the
yeah.
I think the secondary, again led by Pat Surtain, the second is going to be solid. They just paid one of their best pass rusher in Bettino. I think they're going to go hog wild. But I just think the core group of the Colts, I think they're just under better leadership. I think they're a little bit more cohesive, and that defense is a little bit better where they're going to keep the game close. It's going to be like the product on the field is going to be good to watch. But I still think Denver is the better overall team. I think they win the game. Um, Jones will Jones will throw one to the other team at least for sure.
I think that's a very good point. That, I mean, you and I had some questions about the Miami Dolphins defense, and they were exposed all day long. This defense, make no mistake, I understand that Cam Ward's a rookie. I understand the issues that the Titans have on offense. The defense is why they won that game. And I get it. He's a rookie getting like taking stupid sacks. I get all that. That defense was fired up on Sunday. And that defense against, like, okay, Indiana Jones, you had a great day. Now you're at home and you are at home again, and you're taking on one of the best defenses in the league. So I'm right there with you. And I like the -2.5, man. I think clearly if the Colts played a different game on the weekend, that spread would be a lot different. Even with the Broncos on the road. But I really like that spread -102 for -2.5. So just not plus money, like very close to plus money. I got no props for this game. I that's good enough for me. Broncos -2.5. I what what I am curious to see, though, to play devil's advocate here, is that Colts defense looked awesome, but the Dolphins offense looked worse than the Colts defense looked awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I'm curious to see, because the Broncos, Bo Nix and company didn't look that great.
did not light it
So
up. No.
what actually matters here? Was that Colts defense something that can carry over? Because the Broncos offense didn't look very sharp. So we'll see what happens there. For my 4 o'clock game, I guess 4:30 game, technically, I am going, and I'm going to try to not do this very often as an Eagles fan, but I am going to Philly at Kansas City. Eagles -1.5, -110 on the money line. The Chiefs are -106. Over 46.5 at -112. The under is -108. For me, we didn't talk about the Cowboys game. I thought both defenses for Philly and Dallas did not look overly spectacular in the first half of that football game. I thought that like Dallas's offense was gaining some serious momentum
Yeah.
until the Sanders fumble. And shortly after that, the rain delay came into effect, which gave me just an awful, awful Friday, waking up at 5:15 with that
Yeah.
stupid rain delay. But I will say, I thought that the Eagles were gaining momentum, and my personal opinion is that they cover that -8.5 if that rain delay didn't happen. That's my personal opinion. I know people have different opinions as well. Whatever. That's where I'm going with it. By the look on Joe's face, he thinks differently than I do. However, I think that, this defense, personnel wise, for the Eagles changed a lot. And I think that last year, I know that Vic Fangio and that defense did not look great last year until the bye week, when they became one of the best defenses in the National Football League and gave the Chiefs just an absolute, as good as the offense was for the Eagles in that Super Bowl, that defense just destroyed Kansas City. So I'm not saying that for this week, but I'm just saying overall, I'm not overly concerned about the defense for the Eagles. I think by the end of the regular season, the defense will balance out and it'll be fine. For this game, I just think offensively, the running game for the Chiefs is in question. I think not having Worthy, not having Rice, I think that is a problem. Ways to expose the Eagles is in the secondary, and their weapons, I know they have Hollywood Brown, but their weapons in the secondary are limited. I As much as the Philly defense gives some concern, I like it better than the Chargers defense personally. And I mean, listen, man, that the Eagles offense, they are known to start slow. I thought Jalen Hurts in that first half last week looked as confident and ready in the start of a regular season game than I can remember. He just looked poised, looked confident, looked like he knew that whatever his next decision was going to be the right one. I don't know, man. I don't, maybe this is the like fan of me talking. I don't count that whole second half. Like that rain delay, that was like an hour and a half. It just threw everything off. That first half, I really liked what I saw. I will say I'm not throwing out props for the Eagles because I said I can't see straight with this offense. You better believe they're going to feed AJ Brown. Like we've seen this for as long as AJ Brown has been with the Eagles. Any Sunday that he doesn't get targets, he gets like 5 in the first drive. Like this just happens with the Eagles and AJ Brown. But I like the Eagles here at -1.5. However, -1.5 is -102. With that small spread, I'll just take the money line here straight up. Eagles -110. I like the defense for Kansas City. Don't love what I saw on Friday night, however. And I think the Eagles continue to have an undefeated season. And I think that they beat the Chiefs on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe that they would start 0-2, but I also have Philly at the money line. I think that secondary is a big concern. Like multiple wide receivers got off as far as the Chargers are concerned, and that's a
Yep.
huge problem. And Herbert, we're not going to pretend that Herbert is the athlete that Jalen Hurts is, but he still cooked them on the ground himself.
Yeah, he did.
So
Absolutely.
it's like now you got an even more mobile quarterback and you have even better weapons on the outside with Philly. And you're just like, wait a minute. How does this not get worse for them? Right. So I think I got Philly winning again, money line, because of at -1.5, you might as well just pick them to win the game. And as far as my prop, it's funny that you alluded to AJ Brown getting the targets. I just think he's the best wide receiver on the team, and just about all the wide receivers last week cooked them. I figured I'd take the best one and take the over on his yards. So I have him over 63.5 yards in that game, just because they just got torched last week. And I think it's a sign of things to come.
Oh, yeah, dude. Like, and that total is so short for him. Like it's always in the 70s, the 80s. So for it to be in the 60s, I love that. I personally don't have props on FanDuel available for me for this game right now, but when they are available, I know I keep saying I won't take like Eagles props, but I will look at the over for his receptions. If they're anywhere between 6 and 8, I think he's going to catch a bunch of balls on Sunday.
Oh, another good pick. Just traditionally speaking, take a look at Devontae Smith's receptions, because he typically gets a lot of targets against the Chiefs for whatever reason.
He does. Yeah, he does.
So take a look at that number as far as his catches are, because that's a pretty solid bet too.
Love that. Absolutely love it. All right, moving on to the last game of the day, the Sunday nighter, Atlanta in Minnesota. -3.5 for the Vikings, -186 on the money line, which again, if you're on the Falcons side of this, that +156, I think, is an outrageous number. I do not think it should be that. So my assumption would be that it will be bet down by this time Sunday night. So if you're on the Falcons side of it, I would pounce on that money line as soon as possible. over is 44.5 at -110 both ways. Where are you at with this Falcons Minnesota game? I to be honest with you, I'm gonna need a few more days to really digest this game, if I'm gonna be honest, because I don't I don't know. Week 1, I thought the defense for the Falcons played really well on Sunday. I
Right.
thought Penix had his moments. Mooney should be back, which will give help, take a little bit pressure off of Drake London. The running game was phenomenal. Um, first glance, I I'm leaning that money line. I just think that like understanding that sports books know way more than I do, that just doesn't seem properly priced to me at plus 156. I don't know, man. I'm leaning that Falcons money line. I think yes, the Vikings offense came alive in the back half of that second quarter or second half. And they won the football game. The Bears defense is known to give up a game or two. I'm impressed that a rookie, basically, I know he's not technically a rookie, but for all intents and purposes, he is still a rookie. McCarthy playing that poorly and coming back and winning that game in your first NFL game, that's not nothing. That's a big deal, and I am here for it. However, that's not enough for me to believe in this offense right now, despite how many weapons they do have. I'm leaning money line here for the Falcons, but this is a tough one for me. Where are you at?
For me, it just depends on what your book has. I'm leaning towards Falcons plus 3.5. On my book, I can get it at 3.5. Just in case Minnesota pulls the bull jockey that they just pulled against the Bears and just happen to win by a field goal. This has me covered at plus 3.5. I think honestly, your perception on who you think the Vikings are is going to determine how you feel about this game. Do you think they're closer to the team that played in the fourth quarter or closer to the team that played in the first 3 quarters? And that'll let you know how you feel about it. The Falcons did not run the football very well last week. They had 69 yards between Algier and Robinson. And if you're a Robinson carrier, as far as on your fantasy team, you're a little bit worried about the fact that he got 12 carries and Tyler got 10. If you're a fantasy owner for him, you're a little concerned about that dividing of carries. But I think Bijan offers so much catching the ball as well, as he scored on a touchdown and had 100 yards receiving. I'm going anytime touchdown with him this week. We're going to run it back. I personally think it's going to be a running touchdown this time. I just think he's so much of a threat and focal point on this offense that he's going to have the opportunity to score against the Vikings. But I just favor the Falcons here just because I think Minnesota is so when there's two different opposing opinions, the truth lies somewhere in the middle, right? So I think they're somewhere in the middle of what they showed the first 3 quarters and the last quarter that I have the Falcons at least covering in this game.
Yeah, I mean that's where I probably should lean more is the spread. The degenerate in me looks at plus 156 and goes, "Ooh,
Yeah.
that doesn't
Yeah.
seem right." But I do like what you're saying about that total. All right, bro. To wrap up the show, best bets brought to you by First Round Collectibles and Total Apex Sports. Where are you going for your best bet of the day? Can be a spread, can be a prop, can be whatever you want. What's your best bet for this week in the NFL?
Honestly, I know you're not going to do it, so I'm going to do it for you, and I'm going to say that the Philly money line is the
Ooh,
pick here. Philly money line is the pick here.
love it.
Kansas City just did not seem like Kansas City to me last week, and it was really, really concerning with how easily Herbert and how comfortable Herbert felt in that game. That now the very next week you're going up against the defending champions, the team you lost to in the Super Bowl, and it's hard to bet against Mahomes, but I'm going Philly money line here. I think this is the time to flip the script.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Thank you for doing that for me. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of games that we didn't talk about that are very interesting. I think like honorable mention, I think Patriots plus 104 in Miami is a very interesting bet. I'm
Yeah, it
not taking
is.
that bet just because of, even though I feel very strongly about how bad the Dolphins are, that performance was so bad that like I get
Agreed.
nervous about betting against them 1 week later. Listen, I think the Saints are a tire fire, but they were kind of feisty for most of that game against the Cardinals, and the Niners don't have Brock Purdy. They don't have Kittle. That +3 at -110, the +136 is a little bit tasty to me as well. I'm not going to go quite there. There's lots of games that we didn't talk about that I do find very interesting. But I am going to go to your game in the 4 o'clock slate. I do think Denver -2.5 is a really good pick. And listen, Denver money line, if you're not comfortable, I mean, it's -2.5. It's pretty safe, although it is football, so nothing's safe. But -124, -124 on the money, on like the money line, is a pretty good price. It's not too juicy. I don't mind that price either. But -2.5 Broncos at -102. Awesome. Let's just actually quickly, we'll price that out. -2.5 Eagles, -1.5. No, money line. You said, right?
Money line. Yeah, because it's a
So
plus.
that
It's 1.5. So
is +278. Broncos -2.5. Eagles -110, +278. $10 to win 27. I love that play. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, as always, on Solder on Sports Twitter, on Total Apex Twitter, on Solder on Sports on YouTube, on Spotify, Solder on Sports, wherever you are. However, I don't know what I'm saying. Whatever. However you are consuming this show, we appreciate it. Of course, shout out First Round Collectibles, 10% off sale or regular priced items with promo code sports10, and totalapexsports.com. Again, thank you. So
Yeah.
wrong play out. No big deal. It's week 2. We're warming up. Yeah, no matter how you consumed it, we appreciate you guys. Check out the sponsors. We will be back next Wednesday, 6 p.m. new start time, just to remind everybody. And yeah, Joe, have a great weekend to everybody. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games, and we will see you